You can go ahead and get the meeting started, Brittany.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, Director Hernandez,
I'm present.
Vice Chair Narum is absent. Chair Kick,
Here.
we have a quorum.
Okay, so this meeting is open to the public. Do we have anyone that would like to speak to items that are not on the agenda?
Currently, there are no attendees in this meeting, and I didn't receive any comments via email.
Great, thank you for that. And we'll just move on to item 4, the minutes of the February 22nd, 2022 and March 22nd, 2022 meetings of the F&A committee. Do we have any questions about the minutes, or can I get a motion for approval?
I have no questions on the minutes, and I'll go ahead and approve the minutes for our last meeting.
And I will second. Can I get a roll call, please?
Director Hernandez,
Aye.
Vice Chair Narum is absent. Chair Kick,
Yes.
motion passes.
And let's move on to item 5, treasurer's report.
All right, just want to make sure I wasn't on mute because I do that a lot. Okay, so I have before you the March 2022 treasurer's report. As you can see, our revenues have started coming in, so our cash flow is better. Our cash flow wasn't bad. We had money in the bank. It looks bad when your revenues for the year look so low, but we've corrected that issue for this next year, so we should be pretty good. Our expenses are only at 57.22%, so we're well below where we should be in the budget. A lot of that has to do with the fact that we budgeted for the full year of service, and then we don't have drivers, so we haven't been able to do the full service. So it's a huge savings on expenses, but it's also, disappointing not to be able to put the service out there. But we're working on that and we're getting there. Revenues are at 66.8%, so they are above the expenses. They are lower than the 75% because some of our revenue is reimbursement based. So we bill at the quarter for the prior quarter. So there's always a lag, but because we have so much in reserves, we're able to, have a cash flow, so we don't have a problem. And that's it. That is the March 2022 treasurer's report. Any questions?
Nope. I will save my question because it's tangential, not related, till the very end. And can I get a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I will go ahead and approve the treasurer's report.
And I'll second. Can I get a roll call?
Yes, Director Hernandez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Narum's absent. Chair Kick,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to, on the wrong page now, to item 6, the operating and capital budget for FY 2023.
Okay, so we are bringing this month to the Finance and Administration Committee. We will bring it to the board in March for approval, and that will allow us to get our claim into MTC, which is the majority of our money. We can get that in. It should get approved in July, and we should start receiving funds end of August, beginning of September. We won't have that delay like we did last year. So I'm very excited to be presenting this budget. It is an increase. It is over 14% increase for a number of reasons, but primarily, I should cut back a little. We're not on our fixed route operating, which is the biggest number in our budget. We are not planning on running full service for the full 12 months. We have a ramp up plan based on expected new hires, new trainees, people getting out there and the retention, and they did this great spreadsheet. And so the goal is to be at full service by the end of the fiscal year. Start out where we are, ramp up a little each quarter. So, but there was that increase in wages, which of course increased our contract. There's the normal increase that happens every year, which is like 2.something%. So there's that. And then fuel. And I don't even know what to say about fuel. I budgeted this current year at $2.80 a gallon. We are averaging right now at $3.10 for the fiscal year. But if you look back prior to December, we were way below the $2.80 a gallon. And now we're paying close to $4. I get a report every single day. We buy our fuel on the spot market. We're not under contract. So they literally send us quotes every single day. And our guys in the back who just know this stuff because they've been doing it forever, we'll look at it and decide whether or not we want to fill the tanks those days. Our tanks never get empty. We have 30,000 gallons on site. Usually when they buy, it's about 7,500 gallons. So we buy on the spot market and they try to, keep an eye on it. In the last week, fuel prices have ranged from $3.90 a gallon to over $4.50. It's like $4.54 in the last week, right? So, I mean, they've been really good. They've been buying it when it's on the low end, which has, been very helpful. But in terms of budgeting and picking a number to budget, it's been very difficult. So I went with $4.50 for our buses. And then we have non-revenue vehicles. Those are what our road supervisors drive. When they do a shift change, they drive those. They're vans and cars. They're hybrids for the most part. And those I budgeted at $6 a gallon. Now it's looking like that's going to come down, but who knows what it's going to do over the next 14 months, right? So Kathy asked if we had any contingency in the budget. This is one of those line items we put some extra in because I can budget all day and guess all day. And, somebody goes to war and messes me up. So that's also in the fixed route budget. So our fixed route budget, went up 8.9% over last year. Like I said, it was kind of expected. Our paratransit budget, we went out for a new contract this year and we're partnering with County Connection again, which is awesome because we save money by doing that. We share a call center. And just the whole economy of scale. We save money on that. However, they also had labor increases, right, as expected. And fuel is part of their budget, whereas fixed route, we pay for the fuel. On theirs, they buy the fuel. And so that's part of that too. So of course the bids are higher than they would have been before. On top of that, the actual amount we budgeted for paratransit, we're probably not going to spend that because we did the budget prior to actually having the new bids, but again, didn't want to be late turning it in. So there's a little bit of padding in the line item too, which is good because hopefully we don't need it. And then we have that money to use in a subsequent year. But if we do need it, if we end up going over budget, I can amend the claim. I can get more money from MTC, but it's not quick. So this will help us with that. Go Tri-Valley went up a tiny little bit just because we're hoping people are going back to work and they'll use it more. And our SAV went up the tiniest bit. And if you have questions on what we're doing with the SAV this year, Tone can answer those. So those are our increases. It does come up to over 14%. But in most years, we only increase about 2%. But most years we don't have huge labor cost increase with our contractors, and fuel is always volatile. It's not this volatile. So that's what we're looking at on our big line items. We do have, if you look at one of the spreadsheets, you'll see a large percentage increase in benefits. What we are looking to do, and I'll be coming back to this committee in a month or two, our pension costs, we've been paying the unfunded contributions. And if we wanted to just pay them off, we could just pay them off. They're about like 1.4 million that we owe. In theory, that would pay them off, provided CalPERS doesn't lose any money or doesn't have any bad investment years. But we're looking to kind of pay them down so that we're closer to being fully funded. And this year, this is probably the last year it's going to happen. Normally, when I put in the claim, if you go up more than CPI, they question it and it can actually affect your funding. However, this year they know that everybody's going above CPI. Things are crazy, so they're waiving that requirement. So I put in $250,000 to pay down some of that unfunded contribution. And then next year, if we do the same, it's a 0% increase. So it'll help us next year. Michael and I went round and round about how much to do. And there's all kinds of funding ideas of how you can pay that money, but we have money in reserves. So it makes no sense to sell assets or borrow money to pay it. That makes absolutely no sense. So that percentage went up quite a bit. Just as a percent, it was not a very big number to begin with. I will leave it at that for right this minute, and I will take some questions, and then I will share some questions that Kathy had if you guys don't ask the same ones.
Do you have any questions, Melissa?
Yeah, so question on the gas.
Mhm.
Could we buy it ahead of time? I mean, obviously we don't want to buy it when it's super high. So just like energy, right? For East Bay Community Energy, we buy our electricity ahead of time. And so that we kind of have an idea of what we're what we're working with in the future days, years to come.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, how come we wouldn't buy it?
Okay, we can't buy ahead of time. It's not exactly like it's
We
not
don't have a
exactly
place
that.
to.
But
Well, I'm just wondering because,
Mhm.
well, to answer with the paratransit, how we share and how we combine with Contra Costa.
so on the fuel, some agencies do buy fuel under contract.
Mhm.
And so they establish a contract, and it's, the contractor hedges their bets on what the prices are going to be.
Mhm.
We have gone out in the past to the agencies that do that, and the other agencies who buy in the spot market, just kind of everybody in our area, AC Transit, that kind
Yeah,
of
but you know what I mean, right? Like,
Right. No, yeah,
Okay.
I get it. And so we've done that, and we always end up paying less because we buy in the spot market. Now, I've
Mm.
talked to a couple of the agencies, and I'll tell you something we tried a few years ago that didn't work, but it was not a bad idea. We've talked to the agencies who are under contract, and they're actually dealing with the companies trying to break their contracts. So now they're
Okay.
spending legal fees. Many years ago, probably right before Michael Tree came, Scott Haggerty said, "Why don't you reach out to AC Transit and see if you can join their contract?"
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah.
Right? No, I
Which
get it. I mean,
that makes
that's
sense, like.
right. It makes perfect
Yeah.
sense. Except AC Transit actually, Paul Matsuoka, our executive director, reached out to them, and they actually laughed at him. They were like, "We can't be bothered with dealing with you." Now, County Connection, on the other hand, because they're kind of not so much bigger than us, they might be willing. Except County Connection also buys on the spot market.
Okay.
So does Tri Delta and Westcat. So I reached out to everybody. This was a couple months ago, and I said, "How much are you increasing your fuel?" And they were like, "Oh, 25 to 30%. Things are kind of crazy, but they're going to come down."
Everything's being increased by 30%.
Well, our budget's actually 56% higher. And when I ran into a couple of them last week, they were like, "Oh yeah, that plan's out the window. We're doubling." And I was like, "Oh, well, we're not doubling because we had budgeted higher than we needed to last year. So it's not quite double."
Okay.
But
You know what
yeah.
I was asking.
Oh no, I get what you're asking.
Okay.
And it's not a bad idea. It's just a matter of finding a way to do it. Like if these 4 agencies were interested in finding a way to do it, to get a bigger discount by buying more,
Yeah.
right? The quantity. I don't know what that would do with delivery, but it's definitely something that, I can talk to the other 3 agencies in our little group that are relatively, well, Pinol's kind of far away, but the other 3 aren't too far away geographically. And, we can look into it. Definitely doesn't hurt to look into it.
Okay. I know. And it's one of those things where it may go higher and then finally it come down. But with regards to the unfunded liability,
Mhm.
so the money that we do have set aside, are we don't just have it sitting there correct?
You mean the money in the 115 trust?
The money that's kind of put aside that, like you said, well, if we have it, we have it and we can go ahead and pay our unfunded liability, but you also want to make sure that you have some in reserve so that just in case something happens, right?
Right. No, our reserves, they're kind of sitting there. MTC invests them. They don't get a very
Okay.
good
I just wanted
the
to make sure
return's horrible, but they do.
But okay, no, well, I mean, cities do that too. And there's only so many there's parameters on what you can do.
Right.
I just wanted to make sure we always, like, we could pay all of our unfunded liability. We have the money in our city of Dublin for our firefighters and for
Mhm.
but we tend to put it, we tend to have it and make so that it's making its money as well too.
Right. Most of ours that we don't have at MTC, it's in the LAIF.
Okay.
Which doesn't make a ton, but it's very liquid. And with that Dublin parking garage and the $20 million in bills coming, I need liquidity.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where it's been sitting for a couple of years now, waiting for the
Okay.
Dublin parking garage.
Right.
But it's growing, just not very fast.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Thanks. Those are all my questions.
Mine were about gas and unfunded liability. So I guess.
Well, let me just share what Kathy asked.
Okay.
Kathy made a comment that that it looked like the agency was going to undertake a lot of good strategic initiatives and significant capital projects. And I let her know, and to let you know as well, that is our plan. However, we have our capital projects, senior capital projects position has been open for over a year. So the projects will get done, but without that position being filled, not as quickly as we're hoping. Michael, right before he left, reposted that position. And it actually has gotten some traction this time. So we have, I think, 4 resumes. So maybe we can actually get that position filled and do the projects that we're planning to.
When was the last time we had that project posted before he left?
It's been posted for over a year now, constantly. But he put like a new posting up. But it's been posted that whole time. It's been on our website, and we've sent it out to a variety of publications and that kind of thing. It's a new position. We just established it last year during the budget. So, but we posted it right away and got virtually no interest and no one with experience. What we're seeing now is not a lot of experience, but maybe some. So we're going to kind of ferret it out and talk to these people and see if maybe they have more experience than we're getting, and see what we can work with it, because we have some serious capital projects coming up. Jennifer Yeamans has been doing them, but she's also doing our procurement and our legislation and our grants.
Yeah.
And so if we could have somebody just focused on this, we could get a lot more done. So that's a goal. And Kathy asked about, if we had any contingency line items in the budget. We don't have a line item called contingency because the budget has to go into a claim to MTC. And so everything has to be categorized as administration, maintenance, operations, that sort of thing. So contingency, it's in there. It's just not its own line item. And I'm hoping it's enough. It should be more than enough. And then she, of course, also asked about the unfunded pension liability. So I basically told her the same thing. And then she asked, CalPERS had a 20% return last year, as I'm sure you guys heard, which is awesome. I think it was actually 21. So she was asking where that was highlighted in the budget, and it's not. It does not affect what we have to pay this year, but it did bring down our unfunded liability, the contribution. So, which is great. But that unfunded contribution amount, it comes back from when CalPERS had some bad investments back in like 2009 that we're still paying off. So hopefully we can just pay that down and not have to worry about it. So yes, that helped the unfunded liability overall, but it did not decrease the amount we actually have to pay this year. So, all right, I think that's it, unless you guys thought of any other questions.
I just had a question about that position. Do we know if, compared to similar positions at other agencies, if the pay is comparable? Like, do we think that there's a problem with how we're listing and discussing and funding it, or is it just, I mean, there's a lot of things that just aren't getting filled. So,
well, it may be all of the above. We have a salary study going on right now that I should be getting back in the next week or so, and that position is included.
Okay,
so
great.
That'll tell us if our comparator agencies have a similar position. However, I can tell you in the last year, I've had recruiters asking me if I'm interested in a similar position at a number of agencies. And I always kind of laugh because I'm like, no, that's not my area of expertise at all. But yeah, that's part of it too. The other part is just finding people with that experience. And we have people who are interested who would love to learn, right? But we're hoping, I mean, we're trying to build a hydrogen station. We're hoping to bring someone in who knows, right? Who has the expertise we don't already have. We may not find that. It's posted as a senior position, so it's over 100,000 a year. We have excellent benefits. And, we'll see what the salary comp study shows. We may have to change it. We may have to make it a higher position. We may have to, or underfill it. I mean, those are all decisions we'll kind of have to make. Like I said, we were getting no interest in it, and then all of a sudden we are. So I don't know what changed out there, but we're not seeing interest with a lot of experience. We do have someone who's interested who has government procurement experience, but he's never actually managed construction projects. And then there's someone else who has construction experience, but has never done the government. But, then it's a matter of, well, what can we teach them, with our expertise? So We literally just started getting these resumes this week. I don't know what happened with the other postings, why they didn't get the same attention. But this time with the new posting, and they posted at the same places, there's all of a sudden attention. Maybe school's getting out, people are graduating. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay, great. Well, I look forward to that salary study information later on. And so, wait, do we need to receive this? With
Yes, you need to approve this.
approve it?
and-
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I
and
get a
forward
motion
it the
to
board.
approve, please?
I will go ahead and approve the item for it to go to the full board.
And I will second that. Can I get a roll call?
Yes, Director Hernandez.
Yes.
Vice Chair Narum is absent. Chair Kick.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, and then we're going to move on to item 7, approval of resolutions authorizing staff to apply for TDA, STA, RM2 funds for fiscal year 22-23.
Okay, well, this is pretty basic. In order to actually make that budget happen, we need to have our revenues, and these go with the claims. So these are combined, these revenue sources make up probably about 70% of our budget in normal years. This year we have some extra federal money coming, so we're not using as much TDA. But we need the board to approve this so that we can say the board knows about it, that they approved it, and we can apply for those funds.
I would like to move approval. Can I get a second?
I will second. I just didn't know if Tamara had any more to add.
There's really nothing exciting with that
Okay, I just wanted to
one.
make sure.
I can try.
Please let us have money. Thanks.
Yes.
I think that's the
You're on a
TLDR
roll, so you
version.
just kept going. I was like, okay, she can add something more.
Yeah.
I can try. The board has never not approved when we apply for a
Exactly.
funding resolution to get money. The board has never said no. And it's just funny to me that we even have to do it, but I guess
Yeah.
it's so you're not doing it behind your board's back. Because maybe that's
Yeah.
happened in the past.
It
How
happens on
dare
a-
you
it
get
happens on a lot
money
of
that's
boards.
not ours to pay for
Yeah.
stuff?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Can I get a roll call on that, please?
Yes. Director Hernandez.
Yes.
Vice Chair Narum is absent. Chair Kick.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, and then we're going to move on to item 8. And I had a question that I forgot, but it was at the beginning when I thought about it. And if I remember, I'll ask you later.
Okay.
Melissa, do you have any questions?
I do. I have a question, or I have a recommendation. Well, I kind of have, it's a little bit of both. One, I would like to see how much it would cost. I know that we do it already, but if tomorrow I can look into it with regards to looking at the bus shelters that we have with regards to getting them cleaned. And
Well, wait, hold on. They're cleaned.
no,
Which
I
ones?
know, but
Oh,
some other ones that may be needing some cleaning and
Okay.
just, well, the ones that either we don't own or we own.
oh,
And so, because what happens like in our city, if someone doesn't fulfill their, let's say we have an ordinance and,
Mhm.
you know, let's say a resident has some weeds that are exceeding a certain amount of feet, right? Then
Right.
we turn around and we explain to them and so on, and we let them know. And then we give them education. We give them a chance to be able to fix what needs to be fixed. And if they don't do it, then we turn around and do it, and we turn around and give them a bill. So I want to look into that with regard to some of our, whether they're ours or whether they're the cities or so on. I just want to kind of get into looking into making sure that all the shells are clean, whether we own them or we don't own them.
we can definitely get a cost on that. That's not a problem. That's our current contractor will be happy to tell us what he charges to do them. The problem is we've actually, there are certain ones. There is a large number of them that are owned by one of the cities, and they're maintained by an organization. And we have been, we were actually cleaning them because they were kind of gross. And we were told not to touch them because we were damaging them by cleaning them the way that we are cleaning them. So this is something that we can work on regardless of the cost. The cost is probably going to be the easy part. I mean, honestly, we have money in reserves. The cost is the easy part. the hard part's going to be, and maybe not, because there's some new city managers around, right? So is getting the city who owns them to let us maintain them. And honestly, we've even talked about if they give us ownership, ripping them out and putting new ones in, which would be much more expensive, but much nicer. So
Is it us or Pleasanton? Because those are the new city managers. Which one is the problem child?
so
You know what I'm trying to figure out really quick is okay. So if they own them,
Mhm.
but then our buses go there, there has to be some type of partnership, right?
Yes and no. So let me just to clarify for Brittany, the biggest area where we don't own bus shelters, but there are bus shelters is Hacienda Business Park in Pleasanton. Dublin, we own all the shelters in Dublin. Livermore, I think we own all the ones in Livermore. If not, there might be one or two, but they're not problem ones because I've never had to research them. But Hacienda Business Park, we do have a partnership with them, but not in terms of the shelters exactly. And my personal feeling is that whole partnership needs to be sat down and gone over and redone. We have a program, it's the Hacienda Business Park Pass. They pay us X amount every month. And then everyone who lives there, works in the Hacienda Business Park is allowed to ride for free, which is great. It gets our ridership up. The agreement is not based on the ridership though. It's based on this really weird number that goes back to 1991. And no one's ever challenged it, or I guess they have challenged it, but it's not gone very far because it's always been, well, we absorb the cost of maintaining the shelters, so we shouldn't have to pay more. And honestly, I would really like to see maybe when the new executive director comes on board, that whole agreement just opened up and discussed and revamped. If nothing else, to make it simpler, because it's actually based on the service level we provide in Hacienda Business Park versus the service level we provided back in, I think it was 91, plus CPI increase. So the whole time Tony's been here, Tony has brought this up and said, why can't we do this? Why can't we do this? And it just hasn't happened. I know Michael broached the subject, but he didn't get like a positive response. So we kind of
Okay, well, now I'm asking for it to be done.
Yeah, no, I mean, like we're getting a new executive director.
It's 20 years. 20 years is a long time. And so
I think it's more than 20 years. Hacienda Business Park's been
average,
since
you
the
know what
early
I'm saying?
90s, but yeah, it's a long time. And those shelters.
How are the shells in Dublin? How are the bus shells in Dublin?
The shelters in Dublin are great. They're clean. They're mostly rapid. I have to tell you something interesting. We're working on something with getting police accident reports when we have accidents. And it occurred to me the other day that I have never written one for Dublin. I don't know why, but we don't have accidents in Dublin. And we don't have, we don't have the shelter problems in Dublin either. So
I just feel that, in my opinion, you know, whether it's, we're on the board, right? And so how I feel, it's our responsibility to, if our buses are stopping there, residents or riders, they don't understand who owns what or anything like that.
Right.
So for me, it's more of, hey, if we need to clean them, I'm for the Tri-Valley. Like, I know I'm a Dublin mayor, but I love Livermore. No, I love Pleasanton and I love Dublin. So it's one of those where for me, it's more of a, I just want to make sure that we can get something done.
Well, I mean, I'll let you decide. I think we should wait till we have a new executive director on board, but I could do it. I can start broaching it now if you want. It's up to you.
I would rather start approaching it now.
Okay, I'll see where I can get.
I think we've been holding
doesn't
on
hurt.
for a long time. Okay.
Okay, doesn't hurt. I'll see where I may not get anywhere, but I will at least try and see where we can go. Because we did have a complaint just today about some graffiti on one of those stops, and it of course came to us. And then we have to push it off to the person who owns it. Whereas if we have graffiti on our stop, it is taken care of within the hour.
Yeah.
Our maintenance manager himself went out to clean something up at a bus stop yesterday that it turned out it's not even our bus stop. It's a bus. We have a bus stop and there happens to be a city bench near the bus stop, but it's not part of the bus stop. And he went and cleaned up a bunch of clothes somebody threw out there because that's how he is. Somebody complained. He went out there. So
well, we thank him for doing that.
Yeah, he's awesome.
In Livermore, I think I got that same complaint.
In Livermore?
Was it in
Did
Livermore?
you get the garbage can one?
No, I don't know. Someone said there's a bus stop in Livermore that's messy. And I said, tell LAVTA.
That was like a week or so ago. That one was
Okay.
taken care of too. Talked to them
Cool.
yesterday. It happens. It happens. But those ones, because they're ours, we just send someone out to clean it up.
Yeah,
It's a little
great.
easier. So, but I can
Great.
broach the subject with Hossie in the business park and see where we get.
I think that's a very good idea. I will second that. And I think we can, oh, well, actually, we just jumped right into matters initiated, but we forgot preview of upcoming FNA committee items.
Thank you. I was just
Anything
about to
else we
say
need
that.
to know?
Sorry, we just like jumped right to it. Sorry, I apologize for that.
That's okay. It's all right. So in May, as I mentioned, we should have our salary study and organization review to bring to the FNA committee. So you'll be able to see where we are in comparison to our comparator agencies. And if there's a recommendation to change anything on ours based on what they brought in. Our salary bands usually go up by CPI based on April CPI over the prior year. But if something's out of whack in that study, we will let you know and make adjustments accordingly with your approval. In June, we get to renew our legal contract and our LAIF signatures. And then July is usually canceled because we don't usually have a board meeting in August, just because things are slow and it doesn't hurt for you guys to have a month off. And then September, we'll be bringing you the conflict of interest code and possibly some information on our ACFR, but not the actual ACFR itself. And that's about it for the next couple of months.
All right, thank you so much. I believe we can now close the meeting. Our next meeting is May 24th, 2022, and we will now adjourn at 4:31 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.